Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Best Ever You show. We're in video format here, welcoming Lindsey Glass and Leslie Glass with us here today. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Hi.
Right off the bat, I'm going to just mention to everybody watching, I usually say listening, but I guess we'll do both here because this will air over on our podcast as well. If you are looking for their website, it's reachoutrecovery.com. And they are the authors of this book. Look at that. It's all beautiful. The Mother Daughter Relationship Makeover. And I have the good fortune of having both of them here to talk about their book and talk about their lives. They are the editors of the popular online recovery and wellness magazine, Reach Out Recovery. And together, you guys, you've produced documentaries and things, haven't you? What are those called?
Well, I will start. The first one is called The Secret World of Recovery. Lindsey and I produced it together. It's really the first recovery documentary that tells what life is like after addiction. Lindsey, do you want to go on with that?
Yeah, I'm not sure we invented the wheel with it, but we definitely wanted to show the other side of recovery. We did it over a decade ago. And at the time, you only really saw in the media really graphic and images that were not appropriate for recovery. So we wanted to show how much great stuff and how many recovering people there are out there.
Yeah, I think it's a really important topic to bring to the forefront because I think people hide from it. They hide in shame, they hide in blame, and all that stuff. They don't want anybody to know that they're struggling. And so when you have a resource like this, it's so important. And I just want to kind of go back to the beginning here and ask you guys about your relationship and things like that. Like, why'd you write a book? I have like question after question here, but I think I should start with why'd you guys decide to write a book? And what about you guys wasn't so perfect? Because it looks like, from the outside looking in, Leslie Glass, it's all cool and everything. And you've got, famous mom growing up and all this stuff. Is everything just perfect, or is everything? And here's the thing too, we are so non-judgy here. I'm in the middle of 11 kids. So we have hers, mine, ours, theirs, adopted. I have a sign in the back that says chaos coordinator.
I'm just gonna start with saying I was a great toddler mom. But by the time Lindsey was in middle school, I was a best-selling mystery author. So Lindsey went off on her own track that was not carefully followed by her mom. And so I think a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunications happened between mothers and daughters. Oh, yeah. So we went off the tracks for a lot of years. Lindsey, do you want to go on about what happened to us and why we wanted to write a book?
Well, I think no family's perfect. And it's always funny when people meet me now and they see the image of who we are today. And that took a lot of work and a lot of time. So we had alcoholism in the family. There was some codependency. There were issues that needed real healing and therapy. And the good news is in our family is we were all willing to go and do the work that needed to be done for us to get along in a healthy way. And that's really what it's all about. We wrote the book because we know what we went through, other people are going through too. Yeah. And it was such a painful experience, not only clashing with your mom, but then not speaking for years. And we did learn so much that we wanted to pass it along.
Yeah. Let me talk about moms for a minute because, I'm a mom of 4 sons. They're 23, 25, 27, and 29.
Wow.
And yeah. And let me, do you guys ever just go like this and just like, I just love you so much. And no matter what's happened, I love you. And I'm so proud of you and things like that, because it's hard being a mom. Lindsey, do you realize how hard it is to be a mom?
It was in writing the book. I had moments when I realized not only how hard Did I freeze?
No, you're great. Just keep going.
Okay. Sorry.
No.
So it was during the writing of the book that I did realize, I thought about moments I had never thought about, like when we were packing for rehab. What must that have actually been like for her? So I have so much more compassion as an adult, knowing not only that we weren't in an easy situation, but also that moms are changing as much as daughters are throughout that process.
I always say, go easy on your mom. It's her first time living too.
That is one of the major points that we make in the book, because as you're being a mom for the first time and your kids are growing up and they're changing and you're changing too. Moms are changing. They're not the same 20 years later. They're not the same 15 years later. So actually moms may be going through more changes than their kids. Yep. Because we have more life experience, but we've been working. We have many kinds of responsibilities. We may have mothers ourselves we have to take care of. We have jobs, we have other things. And so being a mom is changing every step along the way. And yes, you're absolutely right. Lindsey and I pat each other on the back all the time because I'm so grateful that she is alive. She is thriving. She has worked on herself in the same way that I have. There's a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah, I love that you guys aren't finger pointing. Thank you. I just love the smoothness of this. I'm going to keep going on the mom thing for a minute, Lindsey, and I'm going to come back to the daughter perspective too. So I figure that might be something that's helpful for listeners. Leslie, one of the things that I found so hard in being a mom was I'm a high achiever. I like to think of myself like that. Like I'm going to get the A, I'm going to win the race. I'm going to, I just try to be like that. And it's pressure kind of on me. And I've learned, I'm 55 now, like I was saying. And so I've learned to kind of chill out a little bit. But it was hard for me when I became a mom to try and hold down a job and raise a child, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, oh my, I'm not going to be good at this and this. I'm going to have to pick. And so one of the things that I did was when the littlest one went into first grade, because I was at home with them and everything. But when the littlest went into first grade, I thought, oh, I'm going to go get a job. This is going to be so great. I'm going to get suited back up, put the heels on, do the hair, and out the door I go. And it was so impossible that I started the Best Ever You Network in my office. I closed my door. I'm like, this is just, I don't know how people do this. Do you have a little bit of that?
I want it to be an experiment. So when I had Lindsey all these years ago, I said, can I be a best-selling author and the best mom ever at the same time? And the answer is no, you can't. You can't. No, none of us can do everything really, really well. Yeah. So I thought of myself as an experiment because I also am extremely high achieving. And I'm also trying to better myself all the time. I'm a chronic self-improver. So when you have small children and you have children, there are so many things that you need to put a damper on, because if you want your children to be healthy, you have to chill out. You have to give them the message that it's okay for them to be children. It's okay for them to be them. It's and they don't have to live by the same standards that you do. So yes, I think that every mom has to make these adjustments. How much time am I going to give to my children? How much time am I going to give to my work? What can I let go and what can't I let go? And these are, in terms of perfectionism. We can't be perfect.
And it's okay, because I know when I was younger with, I think I was 25 or 26 with our first son, and moms clubs were really popular and all this stuff. But then you'd get a lot of crap from the women who worked, and you couldn't find the right thing to do. It's like I can't do this or that. I'm getting crap from both places. And I remember my own mom's, and my mom's great. My mom's 80. She said to me when I said I'm just gonna stop working and stay home with the kids, she's like, you're only gonna bake so many cookies before you go nuts. And I'm like, okay, that's a company. And so I had a cookie company. Wow. I'm like, I can sit here and bake cookies.
You're my kind of person. Yeah. Better than baking cookies.
Yeah. Just funny. So anyway, so we get it and we understand how hard it is and things like that. Now I'm guessing, Lindsey, at the time, you weren't all like, oh, my poor mom.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Yeah.
Um, I think, do you want to know what I was like at the
Yeah, I
time?
do. I mean, I think because I think I'm suspecting it was a little bit of hell on wheels, which is all right. And I'm the same way. My mom called me in college and she's like, if you don't stay home, I'm going to come there and kill you, kind of thing. And I know I was the same way. I think I had one really terrible, and I say this in my books, terrible year in college where
Yeah.
I was, drunk and God knows doing what. And I finally, I got off the bus to come home, and I'm in Iowa, and I threw up all over my dad and like fell off the bus into his arms. And thank God he caught me. And that was the last drink of alcohol I ever had in my life, back in college. But I was trouble. I get it. Tell me the trouble.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I would say about it. And it's so fascinating because I do a program with teens sometimes, and I was just down there doing the presentation. I was talking to 100 high school students, and these are high achieving kids. And I said, how many kids in this room are feeling stressed and anxious about something in their life? Every hand went up. I said, how many of you are comfortable telling your parents or your friends what's really going on with you? Not one hand went up.
Yeah.
So not a lot has changed. And I think even though we had some very specific troubling issues, I think the fundamental facts were I didn't want to disappoint my mom. I didn't want to fight with my parents. Even though I was trouble, I didn't want to cause trouble.
Right.
And I really wanted to be left alone to do what I wanted to do without conflict. So I would say this, I was a very angry teenager, but I had no communication skills. So what I did with that anger, and was I able to communicate to my parents and other people? No.
Got it. So let me ask you this. You both are so articulate now with everything that you're talking about and so forth. Are you regretful at all? That kind of, teach us about how not to be, here's where I'm going with this. Teach us how not to be like, oh, we suck, kind of thing. Teach us how not to lose the regret and to move forward and forgive.
So first of all, one of the things you're talking about, and Leslie, I'll let you jump in 1 second, is like generational. We had some generational stuff in our family, shame, trauma. And I think one of the main things that was so important for us was just to learn how to get along and communicate in a really healthy way. Leslie, do you want to add anything to that?
I just want to add, every family has personality styles and communication styles. And that is like, step 2 in our book. When you learn what your mother's communication style was, and you learn what your family and your culture communication style is, you learn why you may not be meshing well with your mom. She may have a completely different style, and her communication style may be getting in the way, maybe making you angry. Like every time I tried to be helpful to Lindsey, she saw it as my being controlling. So I think that we need to shift the perspective from what you've done wrong to how can we understand what we did, how we were, and how we can be better. And I think that's what we do in our book, really.
Yeah. And that takes the shame away. That's a great point. When you can look at it as facts, and, feelings are not facts. They can result from facts, but, once you realize, hey, we're sorry, but a lot of it wasn't our fault. We didn't have great skills. We clashed in a lot of ways. And so, I think you take the shame away when you start to get some awareness about what really happened. And look, self-esteem for women is huge.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Go ahead, Les.
I would just say, when Lindsey and I broke up, and it was very bitter, it was very public, it was very, it was ugly in a lot of different ways. And I think we were tremendously angry. Lindsey was angry at me because I wasn't doing what she wanted. And I was angry at her because she let me down. So, and we didn't speak to each other for 4 years. Now, being a mom and not knowing where your daughter is, where your son or daughter is, what they're getting up to, if they're all right, is maybe one of the most devastating things that a mom can experience. So over that period of 4 years, when I was really grieving and never thinking that, thinking I may not have my daughter again, I started working on myself and thinking about what was it that made Lindsey so angry, really looking at myself and beginning to understand, oh, I may have played a part in this. And that's always important to know. What was the part that I played in this? But over the 4 years, I think something happened to both of us. We worked on ourselves. We tried to understand what happened, but we also lost our anger. When we got back together, we were not angry anymore. We just wanted to be mother and daughter again. Right, Lindsey?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's important to drop your desire for an apology, because I wanted one for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to get it. So was I going to get my daughter back without, asking for an apology or making an amends? Yes, I had to do that. And it was the right thing to do, because holding on to anger and regret and shame doesn't means that you can't move forward and have a loving relationship.
Can I pry and ask you, and I think this might help people listening, like, how'd you guys get back together? Like, who reached out first?
I'm going to take it. So we got a lot of professional help. And we also listened to people in the family when they had something to say. So there did come a moment where, for me, all the anger was gone. I really saw my part. I saw her part. I just missed my mom. And somebody who knows us both said, give it a few more months. Give it a few more months. Let's be sure. And there were professionals in the background giving advice on, okay, here's a good way to reach out. We talk a lot about this in the book, safe ways to reconcile. I started by sending cards, Hallmark cards, and videos of the dogs, because we love dogs. So we would have these phone calls where we would check in, but we had boundaries. We weren't allowed to talk about what happened. And if somebody started, and you get that hot feeling, it's tensions rising. If one of us felt that, we said, hey, let's back up. I feel something coming on here. So let's, back away from this and talk at another time. And we were very respectful of each other for a while.
Good. Yeah. And what happens? So what happens if you step outside that box? Like, even today, like if you go outside the box, do you guys have conflict still, or how do you resolve?
It happened last week. It happened last week. We were together for a week. I was off my own schedule. I live a very big recovery lifestyle. I go to meetings. I do lots of stuff. We've been incredibly busy, and we got to Friday morning. We got into a little bit of a thing, and I said, we're going to stop working today. And she said, okay, let's go to the beach.
Perfect.
And that was our line. I want to add one thing that I think is really important, Les, before you jump in. You don't have to forgive and forget to reconcile. People think that you have to be totally forgotten and forgiven. It doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. So you can come back to somebody and say, hey, I want you in my life. We're going to have some new rules. But yeah, for people who are listening, you can be in conflict and still find safe ways to know each other. If you can't find safe ways to know each other, that's a different situation. So
yeah.
And we tell you how to be okay with yourself if you can't reconcile with your mom or your daughter, because sometimes it's just not safe, or the other person makes you feel so bad that you can't. And we show you how you can feel fine in your life and be well without that relationship.
Yeah. I was just thinking about your beach. I just had we leave Maine and go to South Carolina for the winter now. Oh. And my mom came down for 10 days, and it was just the best. It was just absolutely the best. We did beach walks and shell hunting and Sea World, and it was just fun. So anyway, just a side note, you said beach, and I'm like, oh yeah, my mom. But anyway, all right, here's the book. So the Mother Daughter Relationship Makeover, 4 Steps to Bring Back the Love. Can we take, we're at 20 minutes. Can we take like 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, whatever you guys need, to talk about why you wrote the book a little bit more, what's in the book, what we can get from the book, that kind of, just talk more about the book.
I'm going to start. I'm going to say we wrote the book because we've been writing articles about relationships for more than 10 years. We've written 1,500 articles about all kinds of relationships, men, women, children, these things. And we really wanted to share the knowledge that we learned about relationships in all levels. So we wanted to write about that. We also wanted to write our memoir. So in the book is also the memoir that tells our story. So Elizabeth, you're going to see some very detailed story about a mystery writer who has a child, and how the child responds to that, and how things go off the rail. Lindsey, do you want to say why we wrote the book?
Well, yeah, we wanted to share what had worked for us and also everything we've learned along the way. And this is what I would add. I'm a person in long-term recovery. So that means I have to live a sober lifestyle. I have to manage all the things in life. And I wanted to share a lot of that because I think everybody is recovering from something. Everybody. And I think when you live a recovery lifestyle, you take the focus off of, before it was, how well am I doing? Am I achieving my goals? And when you turn the focus to, am I happy? Am I healthy? Are my relationships healthy? I think that that's a great focus, especially for people who are in a troubled dynamic. There's so many people feeling troubled right now. So that's what I love about the second half of the book. It's about forgiveness, healing, and how to manage your triggers, trauma, and create a recovery lifestyle for yourself. So I think everybody can benefit from that stuff, whether they're in a tough situation or not.
Yeah, no, it's a good book. I have not through the whole thing, but what I've read so far, it's moving along. The book definitely is so well written too. I love that.
But I just added that, well, what you asked what's in it, and it's basically 4 steps. And the first step is like telling your own story. So we tell our story and invite our readers to tell their story and look at their mom and their past family experiences. And the second part of it is we actually do the 8 issues. We go into great detail about the 8 issues that mothers and daughters fight about and the issues that they have, and some solutions. And I think in those 8 issues, it's not only mothers and daughters, it's what all family members fight about, and then in the third one, we do triggers and traumas and how to relate to those. And then the last step is really things that you can do, what you can do to restore your relationship and the recovery lifestyle. So it's literally 4 different books in one. You're going to get a lot of lots of different kinds of information.
Yeah, I see too. You have journal prompts. I'm a big fan of journal prompts. They're very, very helpful. So it's got some thinking to it. I'm sorry, I can talk. Thinking to it as well.
We promise you will feel differently about your mother or your daughter from when you start the book to when you finish it. Because we're going to ask you 6 questions in every chapter.
Nice.
So that's why we also felt excited about it, because it's an interactive, transformative experience. So we will change your perspective, hopefully for the better.
Yeah. If you had a favorite part of the book, I know what I wanted to ask you before I ask that. Okay, you've got conflict kind of in the background previously. There can't be anything more fun than coming together and writing a book, especially with, an already famous author. Is that hard to do? Was that hard to write a book with your mom and not fight and wonder and all those things? Or was it easy?
Believe it or not, working together is probably what we do best because we've been doing it for a long time. She is such a pro. It's a pleasure to work with her, and we have a great working together style. I definitely was thrilled to have the experience and thrilled that she wanted to do it. So
that is huge. Yeah, to have somebody beside you who already knows the book publishing world is so incredible, and the energy of this feels really good too. when I'm reading it and thumbing through it and everything like that, it's got a good vibe. Sometimes books have, I always said, books have a life and vibe. It's hard to explain, but as I get more and more into the publishing industry myself with my own books and stuff like that, I'm like, this has a vibe. Do you agree, Leslie?
Yes, and I think what's wonderful about this particular book is that Lindsey has her own voice and I have my own voice. And when we come together, I let her say whatever she wanted. And in the old days, she would be upset if I would say something that she didn't like. But now we let each other say Lindsey, you be you, I'll be me. Mm-hmm. And we let each other have our own voices and say what we believe, what we need to say. And that's a huge gift that we have given each other, I would say, as writers.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's beautiful. All right. Anything else that you guys want to chat about that I missed or didn't talk about or anything like that? I think we
I think you caught the vibe, and the vibe and the message was hope. Compassion, hope, and positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anything's possible kind of feel to this. And I think anybody can use this book. It could say mother, son, and have the same kind of thing too.
Absolutely.
So it could be mother, anyone, or, just family, whatever. Yeah. But I like that you specified here, because I think this is a particular hot topic. Because as I go through my own experiences with other women in my life and things like that, I've got probably 50-50 of girlfriends who some half get along with their mom and half don't.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to understand, but I'm learning more and more to respect it. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. There's a dynamic there for sure. And it just is what it is, I guess. So there's a lot to it, a lot of history there. Leslie, anything, what are your other, tell us about, do you want to tell about your other books too? Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
I'm just going to say, I wrote mysteries. I wrote a mystery series about April Wu, the first Asian American detective female in mainstream American fiction. And I wrote 9 novels about her. They were best-selling books. And then Lindsey and I started working together because we really felt it was so unfair that all people saw about active addiction, and nobody really believed, and this is like 12 years ago, that nobody believed that recovery was possible. So I think you need to look at us and say, yes, people can go into addiction recovery and be just fine, create websites, make movies, write books, all of these things can happen. And we're very fortunate and lucky that we were able to do it.
Yeah, this is a neat book in the fact that it talks about that aspect of it too, and the relationship aspect of things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's not all one or the other. So I think you've kind of got like maybe 6 or 7 books in one. That's all I see. So anyway, all right. So everybody can go to what was your website again?
reachoutrecovery.com. And we actually have a line of self-help books and workbooks on the website. So we actually have a business around Reach Out Recovery, where we sell those recovery books, and we have programs that we do for teens and different at-risk populations. So definitely check us out at reachoutrecovery.com and see everything we do.
Okay. And one more thing before we go, is there anywhere you would like us to reach you in social media? Do you have a favorite social media platform?
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, it was lovely speaking with you. Lovely getting to know you.
Our
Thanks
pleasure.
for being on Best Ever You, and best of luck with your book, everybody. Here it is again. I'll hold that closer. The Mother Daughter Relationship Makeover: 4 Steps to Bring Back the Love. This is available wherever books are sold. And as authors, we really love it if you write reviews, spread the word about the book. All those things make us as authors be able to still be an author and continue writing books and putting information out into the world. So we're all very grateful for your support as authors. So, all right, thanks. It was so nice.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We enjoyed talking with you.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
You too.
Bye.